Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Muhammad Ali and I will be teaching you chapter 7, Carbohydrates and Glycobiology. We will study this chapter from the Lehninger's Principles of Biochemistry 6th edition. Why we need to study carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are the most abundant biological molecules on the face of the earth. They are made from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, but some of them also contain nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur. The basic unit of carbohydrates are monosaccharides. Every year, photosynthesis converts almost 100 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide and water into the cellulose. Carbohydrate polymers serve as a structural and protective element. They form the cell wall of bacteria and plants. They also make connective tissues of the animals. Some carbohydrate polymers lubricate skeletal joints, and some of them are involved in the recognition, adhesion and movements of the cells. Carbohydrate complexes with protein work as a signaling element. They determine the destination and the metabolic fate of those hybrid molecules. Many, but not all, carbohydrates have a general formula of CH2O all n times. Carbohydrates are aldehyde or ketone derivatives of straight-chain polyhydroxy alcohols. There are three major classes of polysaccharides: monosaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharide. Monosaccharides are aldoses or ketoses. Monosaccharides are simple sugars. If the carbonyl group of those carbohydrates are aldehyde, those are called aldoses. If the carbonyl group is ketone, then the sugar is ketose. The smallest monosaccharide with 3 carbon atoms is called triose. So these are some of the representative monosaccharides. First one is diglyceraldehyde. It is containing 3 carbons, that's why it is called tri, and O's comes from the sugar. Because it's containing the aldehyde group, this one, that's why it is called aldo, tri for 3 carbon and O's mean sugar. The second member, for example, here it is shown in the form of dihydroxyacetone. It is also containing 3 carbons, but it is containing the keto group, that's why it is ketotriose. Next one is D-glucose. It is containing aldehyde group and it's containing 6 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why it is hexose. Its full name will be aldohexose. Next one is fructose, because it's containing 6 carbon and it's also containing 1 keto group. That's why it is called ketohexose. The next one is ribose. This one is containing aldehyde group and it's containing 5 carbons. That's why it is called aldopentose. This kind of sugar is present in the RNA. The next one is 2-deoxy-D-ribose. It's containing 5 carbons and it is containing 5 carbons and it's containing 1 aldehyde group. This kind of ribose sugar is present in the DNA. This is the ball and stick model of diglyceraldehyde. Its central carbon, this one, is containing 4 different groups attached to the center carbon, this one. In such cases, when a carbon or a molecule is containing 4 different groups attached to it, such carbon is called the asymmetric carbon or asymmetric center. This kind of asymmetric molecules are not superimposable to their mirror image. Non-superimposable isomers are called enantiomers. So this molecule is an enantiomer of its mirror image. This is again the structural formula of diglyceraldehyde. Its horizontal line shows the bonds that are coming towards the reader, and the vertical lines is showing the bonds that are going into the plane of the screen. Because it's containing the hydroxyl group in the right hand side, so that's why it is in D configuration. And the OH group, if it is present on the left hand side, it will be the alglyceraldehyde. This kind of depiction is called the Fischer projection formulas. There is another kind of depiction for the structural formula of carbohydrate, that's called the perspective formula. In that formula, the solid lines that are shown horizontally are coming towards the reader, and the vertical bonds that are shown by the dotted line are going into the plane of the screen. So two family of monosaccharides are aldoses and ketoses. So these are the structure formulas of D-aldoses. The first member of D-aldoses is diglyceraldehyde. It is containing 3 carbon 1, 2 and 3. If we see middle carbon, it is containing 4 different groups attached to it. This is first OH, this one is aldehyde, and this one is hydrogen, and this one is CH2OH group. If the 4 groups is attached to a center, it is called the asymmetric center, and this asymmetric center has been shown in red. If we see the erythrose, it is containing 2 asymmetric centers that are shown in red. And if we see D, 3-Os, it is containing again 2 asymmetric centers. 3-Os has 4 carbons and it is containing 2 asymmetric centers. For aldoses, the number of asymmetric centers is equal to total number of carbons minus 2, and it becomes equal to 2. If the 3-Os has 4 carbons, it will have a total number of 2 asymmetric centers. For example, if we see the glucose, and it has been shown with 1, 2, 3, 4 red carbons, that all 4 red carbons are asymmetric centers. Because it's containing 6 carbons, 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. So this is the formula to find the number of asymmetric center in a carbohydrate. This is the structure formula of D-mannose. Again, it's containing 4 asymmetric centers. This is the formula of D-galactose, that is also containing 4 asymmetric carbons. This is D-talose. So these are some of the representative of ketosis. The first member is dihydroxyacetone. It is containing 3 carbons, 1, 2 and 3. And we can see it is not containing any asymmetric center. If we see the next ketose, it is containing 1, 2, 3 and 4 carbons. This is D-erythrulose, and it is only containing 1 asymmetric center, that is shown by red. So for ketosis, if we want to know the number of asymmetric center, it becomes equal to number of total carbons. For example, in the case of erythrulose, these total number of carbons are 2 minus 3. It becomes equal to 1. If we see, for example, this D-xylulose, it is containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's containing 5 carbons. 5 minus 3, it becomes equal to 2. So it is containing 2 asymmetric carbons, that has been shown by red color. So the 4, 5, 6 and 7 carbon containing sugars are called tetroses, pentoses, hexoses and heptoses. Because glucose has 6 carbons, 6 minus 2, it becomes equal to 4. So the glucose has number of stereoisomers, that is equal to 16. The sugars that differ from each other with respect to the configuration of only one carbon atom are called the epimer of each other. So these sugars have the same absolute configuration of the asymmetric carbon farthest from the carbonyl group as does the diglyceraldehyde. So this is the D-mannose, that is containing 6 carbon atoms. So counting always starts from the carbon that is containing the aldehyde group or the carbon that is nearest to the carbonyl group. This is the D-mannose, it is containing 6 carbon atoms. So the numbering of the carbon atoms starts from the carbon of the carbonyl group or the carbon that is nearest to the carbonyl group. For example, D-mannose and D-glucose have only difference in their configuration at carbon number 2. So D-mannose and D-glucose are epimer of each other with respect to carbon number 2. Similarly, D-glucose and D-galactose have difference in the configuration at carbon number 4. So D-glucose and D-galactose are epimer of each other with respect to carbon number 4. But D-mannose and D-galactose are not epimer of each other because they have different configuration at different carbon atoms in the chain. So common monosaccharide have cyclic structure. Before we see the cyclic structure of the glucose, we see what the hemiacetal and hemiketal are. For example, this is an aldehyde molecule. that is containing a general alkyl group R1, and this is the alcohol that is containing general alkyl group R2. They are joined together in a reversible reaction to make a hemiacetal. There is a possibility for the interaction of a second alcohol to this hemiacetal to convert it into the acetal format. In the same way, hemiketal and ketal are formed when the carbonyl containing compounds are reacted with one alcohol and with the second alcohol. So the cyclic structure is attained by a glucose molecule when it is present in water. So the cyclic structure of the glucose is called the Haworth projection. How to draw the cyclic structure from the linear chain we will learn from this slide. So the fifth carbon is containing hydroxyl group that has been shown in red is containing lone pair of electron. This lone pair of electron attacks on the carbon number 1 and joins a bond with the carbon number 1 through its oxygen. And the groups that are present on the right hand side, these three groups that are present on the second, third and fourth carbon comes beneath the ring. This is OH group, second one H and third one OH, and the CH2OH goes upward of the ring. This solid bond shows that this bond is towards the reader, the thin line is away from the reader. All these groups are below the ring and these three groups are above the ring. Similarly, the fructose has hydroxyl group on the fifth carbon. So this hydroxyl group has a lone pair that attacks on the carbon of the carbonyl group and makes a cyclic structure that is 5-membered. So there is a possibility. We know that in the straight chain structure, this carbonyl is containing 3 functional groups attached to it. That's why it is not a symmetric center. When this glucose comes in cyclic structure, its carbon number 1 gets 4 different groups attached to it and becomes asymmetric center, like group number 1, group number 2, group number this one 3 and group number 4. All these groups are different. That's why it is now the asymmetric center. And the isomers that are differing from each other with respect to the configuration of OH group on the anomeric carbon are called anomers of each other. There are two possibilities. One is that OH group is on the opposite direction as does the CH2OH group is. In this case, the anomer is called the alpha anomer. If the OH group is on the same side as the CH2OH group, the anomer is called the beta anomer. This is again the attack of lone pair present on the hydroxyl group has been shown that is attacking on the carbon of the aldehyde group. This is the carbon number 1. Common monosaccharides have cyclic structure. There is a 6-membered ring that is called pyrrone, and the ring of glucose is also 6-membered. Based on the similarity, glucose is named as glucopyranose. O comes from the sugar. Because this is the alpha anomer, that's why we attach alpha. Because this is D-glucose, that's why we attach D in front of glucopyranose. In the same format, the furan 5-membered ring has the same structure as does the 5-membered ring of the fructose. That's why its name is fructofuranose, and it is present in its alpha format. That's why it is alpha D fructofuranose. So this is a problem in which we are asked to convert the Fischer projection of D-mannose and D-galactose into the Haworth projection. I solve one example for you and leave the other example for you to solve. First of all, we make a 6-membered ring, and oxygen will be somewhere here. We draw the vertical lines to show the functional groups. Because this is the aldehyde group, so hydrogen will be above the ring and OH below the ring, and these 3 groups that are shown on the right side will come beneath the ring: hydrogen, hydrogen and OH. And the 3 groups that are on the left hand side will come above the ring: OH, OH and H. This is carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, and 6 will come above in the form of CH2OH. Because fifth carbon is also containing the hydrogen, this hydrogen will be shown here. So in this way we can convert the Fischer projection into the Haworth projection. Let's convert this Haworth projection into Fischer projection again. We draw a straight line, we draw 4 horizontal lines, because we don't see any CH2OH on the anomeric carbon, so it means the aldehyde group is bearing the anomeric carbon, and the 3 groups that are present beneath the ring will be shown on right side. This is 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, and third one is OH, and their corresponding will be written on the left hand side: OH, OH and H. Now this is carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 will be in the form of CH2OH, and fifth carbon is containing OH group on the right side and H group on the left hand side. So left hand side group is shown below the ring on the fifth carbon. So this way we successfully converted Fischer projection into the Haworth and Haworth projection into the Fischer projection. So common monosaccharides have cyclic structure. So we have to move one step ahead. This is the cyclic structure of glucose. If we pull these carbon and carbon number 3 downward, and if we push this oxygen upward and carbon number 2 upward, then we will get a structure that will be similar to the chair conformation. For example, this is oxygen, this one this way, this way, this way and this way. So this is called the chair configuration. There is another possibility that if we pull fifth bond upward, third one to upward, and if we do reverse with this oxygen downward shown by curved, and this one carbon number 2 downward, then we get another conformation. That is also chair conformation. Among these two conformations that is shown here and here, this one, first one is more stable. So organisms contain a variety of hexose derivatives. So this is the glucose family that is containing beta D glucose. OH is in the same plane as the CH2OH. Beta D glucosamine, N-acetyl beta D glucosamine. We can see here muramic acid, N-acetyl muramic acid, beta D glucose 6-phosphate, beta D galactosamine, beta D monosamine, and beta alfucose, beta L-rhamnose, and we can see N-acetylnuraminic acid. So blood glucose level is very important. Blood glucose level can be measured by the use of glucose oxidase enzyme. Glucose oxidase enzyme converts glucose in the presence of oxygen into D-glucono-delta ketone and the hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide converts a colorless compound into a colored one that is then quantified with the help of spectrophotometer. Because of the presence of the glucose, some of the hemoglobin is converted into its glycated format, that is called the glycated hemoglobin. If the normal human being is containing 120 mg per 100 ml of glucose, 5% of its hemoglobin will be glycated. In the diabetics, the 13% of the hemoglobin is glycated, that corresponds to a glucose level of 300 mg per 100 ml. That is very dangerous. So how does the glucose binds to the hemoglobin to convert it into the glycated hemoglobin? This is the glucose molecule and this is the general formula of the hemoglobin. These two molecules join together to make the Schiff base that is converted into the ketoamine format. This ketoamine format is converted into the glycated hemoglobin. This glycated hemoglobin is converted it into the advanced glycated end products. These advanced glycated end products are very dangerous and they can aggregate and cross-link the protein. This cross-linking then leads to the damage to the kidney, retina and the cardiovascular system. So we define here what the glycosidic bonds are and how the anomeric carbons are involved in making the glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bonds are those bonds in which at least one anomeric carbon is involved. For example, here the alpha-D glucose. It has this anomeric carbon and this is going to make reaction with the methanol, one of the alcohol. So there are two possibilities that either this methoxy group is attached to methanol group in a way that methoxy group is on the opposite side as compared to the CH2OH. In this case, this is called the methyl alpha D glucose site. In the other case, its name will be methyl beta D glucose. Now we are moving towards the polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are also known as glycans. They are made by the joining of monosaccharide through glycosidic bonds. So there are two types of polysaccharides. One is homopolysaccharides and others are heteropolysaccharides. Polysaccharides have both the branch and the linear structure in contrast to proteins and the nucleic acid. Lactose and sucrose are disaccharides. Oligosaccharides that are containing 3 or more monosaccharides are found rarely in nature, whereas the disaccharides are more common. Lactose, for example, is present only in milk. This is the structural formula of lactose. Lactose is made by joining of one galactose and one glucose through 1,4 glycosidic bond. Because we have already learned the naming of cyclic structure of the glucose, so this lactose will be named as beta D galactopyranosyl 1,4 beta D glucopyranose. Anomeric carbon of the first sugar is busy in making the bond. It is named as nosyl, and 1 to 4 shows the direction of bond. The first carbon of the first sugar is involved in making bond with the fourth carbon of the second sugar. And beta D glucopyranose O shows that the anomeric carbon of the second sugar is free. Disaccharide contain glycosidic bonds. We can see here alpha D glucose and here it is shown beta D glucose because OH group of the glucose has already attacked the anomeric carbon. So in the cyclic format of glucose, the anomeric carbon is already in the hemiacetal format. When this hemiacetal is attacked by hydroxyl of the second glucose, then acetal is formed, and name of this molecule, that is maltose, is alpha D glucopyranosyl 1,4 beta D glucopyranose. O shows that anomeric carbon of the second sugar is free. These are some of the representative monosaccharides. For example, glucuronic acid has an abbreviation of GLCA. G is capital, L small, C small and A capital. In the same way, galactosamine, glucosamine, N-acetyl glucosamine, N-acetyl galactosamine, N-acetyl glucosamine, iduronate acid, muramic acid. We can see some of the disaccharide here. For example, the first disaccharide is lactose that we have already seen example. So it is made by joining beta D galactose and beta D glucose. So the name of disaccharide will be beta D galactopyranosyl 1,4 shows the direction of the bond, beta D galactopyranose, because its anomeric carbon is free. While in the case of sucrose, the anomeric carbon of both the glucose and the fructose are busy in making bond. So how to name this one? Beta D fructofuranosyl alpha D glucopyranoside. In this case we don't say pyranose but we say pyranoside. side because its anomeric carbon is also busy in making the bond. If we see three halos, we name it as alpha D glucopyranosyl, alpha D glucopyranoside. Sugar is sweet, and so are a few other molecules. Sweetness is one of the 5 basic flavors that we can taste. Sweet taste is detected by the protein receptors that are present in the gustatory cells present in our taste buds on our tongue. So there are T1R2 and T1R3. Glucose, sucrose and fructose. They bind to the both sides of these pair of receptors. But some other artificial sweeteners, they can bind either on the inside of only one receptor, or Bayesian like sweeteners bind to the outside of the receptor. Bayesian have also binding site somewhere here. We take example of aspartame, that is artificial sweetener. It is containing this carboxylic group and this amine group. This carboxylic group binds to the receptor T1R2 on its amine group, and this amine group binds on the receptor with some carboxylic or some negatively charged group. If this group is perpendicular and bind to some X site on the T1R2 domain, then we feel sweet taste. So the polysaccharides. So there are two classes of polysaccharide. One is homopolysaccharide, that are containing same monomers joined together to make a straight chain or a branch chain. And the heteropolysaccharide are containing 2 or more types of monomeric units that are joined together by the glycosidic bond to make the straight chain or the branch chain. The first example is the cellulose. Cellulose is a straight chain polymer made by the glycosidic bond of beta-D glucose. These beta-D glucose are joined together through 1,4 glycosidic bond, and the number of monomeric units is almost 15,000.